Hello everybody, and welcome back to MUFC MPB here on YouTube. Today is Friday the 19th of April, one day before 420. For all of you 420 lovers out there, tomorrow is for you, the day before Manchester United's FA Cup semi-final against Coventry. So make sure you get all the rest in you possibly can, because it is going to be all chaos from here on out. Either we're going to win, we're going to absolutely blitz the floor with Coventry, get all gassed, be all excited, yeah, we're going to win the FA Cup, or Coventry are going to come to Wembley and absolutely embarrass Manchester United. I can't see one or the other happening. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep, I'm just going to try and keep your hopes optimistic, or, you know, depending on what you think of this beautiful bald man on your screen. I can't even remember what I just said, but your reaction will depend on what you think of him, because according to reports, according to L'Equipe and a few other reports, Zinedine Zidane is keeping a close eye on the situation at Manchester United. He is itching and keen to return to being a coach. Look, a few years ago when Real Madrid got rid of Zidane, or he left Real Madrid, there were reports saying that he was going to come to Manchester United before Erik ten Hag or after Ralf Rangnick. However, it came out that he didn't have any interest in managing in the Premier League. Not that he didn't have any interest in managing Manchester United, but just managing in the Premier League. He wasn't taking English lessons. You know, he can't already speak English. Not everybody in the world can speak English. But there weren't any indications to show that, you know, he's getting ready to become a manager for Manchester United. However, this is different. I haven't got the tweets here bookmarked, but Emmanuel Petit, former Chelsea, I believe, definitely a former Arsenal player, French Euros, and I think World Cup winner. He's a very well established defender slash defensive midfielder in French history. He's come out recently within the last hour and has said and claimed that Zidane for the past few months has been taking English lessons. If it was just that, if that was the only thing that had been said, you know, Zidane's taking English lessons, I'm taking Swedish lessons, it doesn't mean I want to go and manage in Sweden. I'm just trying to expand my knowledge. Being able to speak English will always put you in an advantage, because English is, well, I know Mandarin is the most spoken language in the world, but that's because the population of China is crazy. It's the biggest. But English is the most widely spoken language in terms of it's spoken in the most... English is obviously England, and then all of these other countries, it's spoken in the most countries. So it could just be a thing where he's learning English. It could just be a coincidence. It doesn't mean he's necessarily saying, oh yeah, I'm taking English lessons because I definitely want to manage Manchester United, which goes in direct contrast to what I said a few years ago, saying I don't want to manage in the Premier League, which means I don't want to manage Manchester United. It could be that. We don't know. But I'm going to take this as he's opening the door. He's just leaving it ajar ever so slightly to the Manchester United position. Because, look, Zinedine Zidane isn't silly. As I've said before, footballers and many people that are involved in professional football, whether it's at Manchester United or around Europe, will know the mess that Manchester United has been in ever since the Glazers came in. And, you know, the Glazers are still there, but they're not in the same position they were just even a year ago. With Ineos coming in, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and these other guys, of course, you've got Jean-Claude Pierre, who's French, of course. He might know Zidane. I don't know. I'm not going to make allegations, but that could work in our favour. We don't know. Zidane will be a bit more familiar with the way that Manchester United should be run, in terms of it being run as a normal football club. So that might have been a little bit of a persuasion for him. He might have seen what's going on here and thought, Manchester United is Manchester United. They are a massive club, the biggest club in England. They're a sleeping giant. They are not far off from that click. And when that click happens, they will be back on top where they should be. He might be thinking to himself, do I want to be the manager to take them back there? Do I want to risk what I already have? Because his reputation right now as a manager is the three-peat Champions League winner. He came back... I mean, he hasn't had any failures as a manager yet. Being at Real Madrid, the biggest club in the world, alongside Manchester United, it comes with the pressures that only Manchester United could understand, and then some more, maybe even then. You've had every top manager managing Real Madrid: Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Zinedine Zidane, are the managers that I can remember. You had Manuel Pellegrini. Who remembers back when there was Real Madrid TV on Sky? That's when Manuel Pellegrini was there. Rafa Benitez. Who else? Who's their manager right now? Carlo Ancelotti. I honestly can't even remember the other managers. Oh, Lopetegui, I think he was a manager after the, well, he was meant to go manage Spain. Anyway, they have all of these top managers, and some managers don't last. Only the best of the best of the best last at Real Madrid and even go back. Zinedine Zidane went there. Well, he graduated there, won the Champions League 3 times in a row, left and came back and still didn't fail. I think in terms of his experience at a top club, in terms of the trophies that he has won, in terms of who he is as a person, he was what he is, one of the best players that's ever played the game. He is someone who's in a unique position to be able to understand the game to a degree in which other players might not be able to understand. Everybody can learn off him because he was able to play and operate at a level for pretty much his whole career at the highest level, at the biggest clubs, winning the biggest trophies. Then he progressed into management. It wasn't a direct retirement to Real Madrid manager. I believe he was managing the Real Madrid Castilla or the Real Madrid Youth, or it wasn't the first team, but he was managing in some capacity at Real Madrid. He was able to learn his trade, study, get his badges or whatever you need to do, and then progress to become the first team manager of Real Madrid. There you saw him manage the likes of Ronaldo, Benzema, Sergio Ramos, Marcelo, the biggest names in world football, the biggest egos, the biggest personalities in world football were all under him. And he was able to bring the best out of them. He was able to win them. I can't say how much winning the Champions League 3 times in a row, regardless of the team that you have, regardless of the players that you have, is probably the hardest thing to do in football. Champions League twice, Champions League even once is difficult enough, but 3 times in a row is absolutely crazy. And yeah, and I can't fathom. And I don't think people understand how important that is when talking about potentially getting in Zidane, because he brings in a plethora of talent, he brings in knowledge, he brings in an ability to understand and work with top egos and top talents. He also brings in the chance to acquire more quality players, because as I was saying in my last episode, imagine we got in a Graham Potter, regardless of whether you think he's good enough or whether you think he has the personality. Go and try and get Mbappe. I know I'm just using Mbappe's name as an example, but go and try and get Mbappe and you have Graham Potter. Go and try and get Mbappe and you have Zinedine Zidane. There's way more chance that Mbappe is going to accept the move if Zidane's here, because there's someone there who he knows is at the top of management, who he knows is one of the best managers in the world, who he knows has the experience and the trophies in his cabinet. Graham Potter isn't any of those. So when you look at a manager, you also have to look at what they can potentially do just by them being there. Not the stuff on the pitch, obviously that comes first, but when you're trying to recruit, when you're trying to get these deals, when you're a club, a manager has to be a representation of what you what is the right word? Of what you want the club to be, how you want the public to view the club. If you go and get a manager in who has a history of being aggressive, short-tempered, terrible with terrible with the media, sometimes they seem like the police, terrible with his players. If you just have a manager who just has a bad energy, bad aura around him, they're probably not going to go and get him, because he is the face. He will be the face of the club. He's the person that he's the first person that speaks after a match. He's the last person that speaks to the media before a match. He's the person that walks out first. He's the representation and face of Manchester United, or he will be. I think it's very important. Getting in a man like Zidane, look, I don't know if this is just him or it's just me not being educated enough, but I don't see him talk that much. I think he just seems like a very, very sort of guy. He instills confidence and relaxation on his players, and that's what I get from him. I'd be over the moon if we were able to replace Erik ten Hag with Zinedine Zidane. But this has also come up. Zinedine Zidane would prefer to manage Manchester United over Bayern Munich, and I would imagine Bayern Munich's name is only being mentioned in this because Julian Nagelsmann will sign a new contract with Germany until 2026. Now, a few months ago, I think he said that he will decide his future before the Euros, whether that means he'll obviously sign on at Germany and manage at the Euros, or sign for Bayern Munich, or sign for Manchester United, or whoever else he was considering. He's made his decision, and you can't say, what a waste, man, blah, blah. He's made his decision. He's staying on with Germany. He's doing wonderful things with Germany, and they'll probably be one of the favourites to win the Euros this year. And I think that means, I don't know what month his contract will be up, but I also think that means he'll be in charge of Germany at the World Cup in the USA in 2 years, because obviously international tournaments are every 2 years. So we can give up on Julian Nagelsmann. He won't be on any sort of list. We're not going to be doing a thing where he signs his contract now and then we still go and get him in 2 weeks. It's not going to happen. Julian Nagelsmann is out of the race to be Manchester United manager. And maybe that might mean that's why Zidane's name has been mentioned, because they need someone else's name to mention now. Julian Nagelsmann was the name that was getting spoken about the most, I'd say, in recent times. Now that he's completely gone, anything that gets published on him will obviously be just dismissed instantly. Maybe they do need another name. I don't know. But with Zidane, I'd love him if he was able to become Manchester United manager. I think it would be a good fit. You've got a club the size of Manchester United, and a manager with the credentials that Zinedine Zidane does have, on top of who he is as a person and how he is respected in the game. I think it would be a good fit. I think it would fit like a glove, more like Michael Jackson's glove than O.J. Simpson's glove. I think this will be a good appointment. But moving on to someone who might be vital in the recruitment process, Dan Ashworth. Newcastle's search for Dan Ashworth's replacement is approaching the final phase. Once a decision is made, it should accelerate negotiations between Newcastle and Manchester United over the compensation for Ashworth. Now, this goes back to what I would have been saying, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Yes, Newcastle United have set their price, but obviously that won't be the exact amount that Manchester United will look to pay. Now, I think that price is £20 million. However, I'd expect Manchester United to be offering around a maximum of 17 or 16. That's just me with my extremely novice bartering and negotiation skills, imagining what the proceedings would be like. Now, if Newcastle are able to get an adequate replacement for Dan Ashworth for a very low price, then I'd imagine that the fee that they'd be demanding to Manchester United wouldn't be as high. If then, for example, they have to go and spend a lot of money on Dan Ashworth's replacement, then I'd imagine the fee that we'd have to pay them would also be high. The more Newcastle pay, the more we have to pay. The less they pay, the less we pay. I'd imagine it's just as simple as that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a lot more complicated than that. I still think we're going to be able to get Dan Ashworth. I'd imagine in the meeting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe had with... Is her name Suella Braverman? I don't know if Suella Braverman... The woman who is part owner of Newcastle, or in a very high position, I cannot remember her name. I don't know if that's her name, but the meeting that Sir Jim Ratcliffe would have had with her, I think it was one-on-one a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what was said, but with this news coming out now, we're definitely still involved. It was definitely a good meeting, probably full of positives. Probably Sir Jim Ratcliffe saying this is the maximum we are going to pay. £1 higher than that and we're out. I don't know what that price was, but he was probably setting his limit to give Newcastle almost a green light to go and look. Manchester United are in full control. Manchester United are in full control of this, because we know that all we have to do is pay them some money and he's out. Newcastle are the ones that need to find the replacement. Newcastle are the ones that need to go out of their way and do all of the heavy work, and that's what they're doing now. I'm very confident that Dan Ashworth will be at Manchester United. Whether or not he will be there before the summer transfer window starts, I don't know. But I wouldn't imagine we'd get him in the middle of August. There will be a deadline, of course, for everything. There will be a deadline, which is why I'm confident we'll have him before the summer transfer window. If he's here before the transfer window, maybe we would be going in for a Zidane. He seems good and has... Well, we all know he has a good knowledge of the game. He has a good knowledge of his job, and working with Barada, hopefully Wilcox, and of course Jean-Claude Pierre. Every time I say it, I think it's wrong. It probably is wrong, but sorry if it is wrong. Working with those guys, I don't think it'll be difficult to come to a conclusion on Zidane quickly. But maybe he's been involved loosely. in this, Ineos, according to Santi J, we had him, one of his tweets on the channel the other day. Ineos have been looking for a new manager for Manchester United for many months. I don't think this is right. I don't think this is wrong. I think this is just miscommunication. I think what has happened, because Ineos haven't been here for many months, so they couldn't have been looking for a manager for many, many months. I think this is one of the situations where they are planning for all possible situations. A situation where we lose every game until the end of the season, Ten Hag's gone. Situation where we win every game until the end of the season, Ten Hag stays. They would have been looking for replacements if situation 1 happened. If there was a situation where Ten Hag had to leave, they have to have someone ready. They have to be ready to go and get someone else. This isn't the second they stepped in, they said, "Bun Ten Hag, we're getting someone else in." No, it's not like that. So I know a lot of people in the comments of this and people retweeting it and stuff like that will be saying, yeah, Ineos have made their mind up. They're definitely getting rid of Ten Hag soon. No, it's not that. But whoever the next manager is, or if it is Ten Hag, Manchester United want to look at Harry Amas before making a left-back signing this summer. Because what we have here is a young talent who's tipped to be probably the next or one of the next players breaking through to the first team before the end of the season. And this, reported by the Muppeteers, is almost definitely saying Harry Amas will be getting minutes before the end of the season. There are a few games left. It's pretty much impossible for us to get Champions League football now. There was a situation earlier that said if Aston Villa win the Conference League and all of the German teams are knocked out of the Europa League at the semi-final stage, then 5th place in the Premier League will go and qualify for the Champions League. But we're probably not even going to get 5th place, so that also doesn't matter. It is not a very good situation for us to be in, but it also, for the youth system, for the youngsters, it might be silver lining to a dark cloud, because it means that we're not playing that match on the weekend. On a weekend isn't going to be we need to win this game to get Champions League. It's an unwanted safety cushion. We're not gonna fall any lower, really. We're not going to be that bad. It also means that these games, although still very important, aren't Champions League important. It means that youngsters like Harry Amas, like Shea Lacey, will be able to get some minutes. I'm not saying, you know, these guys are going to come and start against Coventry and play the full 90. It means they might play, you know, 30 minutes 2 or 3 times before the end of the season. It might mean 10 minutes. It might just mean that substitution at the end of the game that only gets 10 minutes. It might mean that. I don't know, but it does mean that we will be seeing these players, most probably Shea Lacey and Harry Amas, before the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wheatley or Ethan Williams as well, because they have been very, very good this season. And I know Greenwood isn't coming back, but in Wheatley you have someone there who has the body composition, who even runs the same way as Mason Greenwood. Ball striking ability, probably not off both feet as well as Greenwood, but someone there who's very, very good. And I wouldn't be surprised to see literally just get 2 minutes or something before the end of this season. He's still young, playing for the under-18s. Of course, they did just win the under-18s Northern Premier League, I think, and they will be playing Chelsea, who were the champions of the Southern. Is it Chelsea? Who are the champions of the Southern version of the Premier League? Because when you're 16, you can't be going from Newcastle all the way down to Portsmouth. It doesn't work like that. They're split into sections. But regardless, there is a crop of talent, a plethora of good talent who are highly rated that could be coming and making their debuts for Manchester United this season. But according to Ben Jacobs, Manchester United believe Shea Lacey has several top talents and is ready to step up to first team level. And I'm going to add on to the end of that, this season. Shea Lacey came back from injury and was straight away involved with first team action. He's basically Foden. He's basically Foden. And that's the biggest compliment I can give him. Because although Foden does play for Manchester City, it would be silly and ignorant of anybody to be like, oh, he's not that good. Because he's one of the better players in world football right now. He just is. It's facts. It's a subjective fact, if you'd like to call it that. I don't know if that exists, but he is one of the better players in world football, European football right now. Phil Foden is the benchmark for many young players that play in the academies, especially at Manchester United and Manchester City. Shea Lacey, given his body composition, I think he's the same height as Phil Foden, left-footed as well. dribbles the same way, stops and turns the same way. I don't know what to describe it as, but the stop with the inset of the foot and then almost bringing the ball along with you, not getting the ball ahead of yourself and then going after the ball, but dragging the ball along with, it's almost identical. And I think he'd be a massive addition. Not saying he's going to come in and light the world on fire, but having him there, being able to provide a little bit of competition, given the talent he does possess already, I think will be a massive boost to the squad. And I think having someone there who's homegrown definitely, and has been pretty much spoken about by Manchester United fans or watchers of the youth academy for a couple of years now, I think is going to be quite exciting. And in those couple of years, that Shea Lacey is going to come through, and you're going to have Kai Rooney next. Get ready for him. But one man who we are going to end this episode on, wish him a happy birthday today, by the way, Kobbie Mainoo. He's 19. Talks over a new contract for Kobbie Mainoo at Manchester United are progressing steadily. Mainoo is set to be rewarded with a significant but fair pay increase, including several performance-based incentives. Good. 2 years ago, this might have been give Kobbie Mainoo 200k a week. No, give Kobbie Mainoo a reasonable two-digit. When I say two-digit, I don't mean £10 a week. I mean like £90,000 a week, with incentives that could get him up to the 150k a week. If he scores, you get this. If you keep a clean sheet, you get this. Blah blah blah. Manchester United, with one of the most valuable assets they have right now, are doing the right things. Kobbie Mainoo, I would imagine, will decline an offer. I think we have this one in the bag. It's Kobbie Mainoo, it's Manchester United, new owners and new people in better positions to make better thought out decisions regarding Manchester United. I think this is good. And it's reported by Academy Scoop. Academy Scoop, make sure you're following him, by the way. Big shout out to him. He reports on Manchester United's academy more often than not, and it's very good. I've yet haven't seen anything wrong or any false information, so make sure you're following Academy Scoop on X as well as MUFC MPB. Make sure you're following me as well as the other presenters. All of our links will be in the description down below. But lastly, make sure you do leave a like as well as subscribe down below if you want to keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We will be back, I believe, tomorrow. Anil has a video coming out, and then I'll be back on Sunday. Daily videos for you guys, keeping you up to date with everything Manchester United, especially going into the summer transfer window. You're going to want to keep all your attention on MUFC MPB. But I will see you guys on Sunday. I hope Manchester United win. It will be a match reaction, so you won't see me before. Oh yeah, match prediction. I think we're going to win. I think it's going to be a 3 or 4-0, to be honest. I think it will click. I think Manchester United players will think, yeah, we can't mess this one up. We can't fuck it up. So I'm going to go for a 3 or 4-0 to Manchester United, and we will be playing Chelsea in the FA Cup final. I will see you guys on Sunday, and goodbye.